When last we left our heroes... Ooh, I didn't know that I had that within me. But if I have that in me, it feels kind of warm and creamy. Ah. So, we managed to cram a couple more hours in the Sunless Citadel. It was short, but productive and awesome. So after dicking around a little bit, the party gets to meet Meepo! Now, the cool thing is, this is the first time that we deployed Roll20 to have a virtual tabletop of any kind. Mostly it was just for map and placement as we played. And here's the map as we finished it. This map is actually the original map, not the updated map. And it took me forever to get it synced up in the first place, so it's kind of not the best looking. But this is what the party can see. I, of course, can see everything. So we're going to talk a little about the Roll20 experience. We're going to talk about what the party did when they met Meepo. Their fun with the dragon. Their fun with all of the kobolds. And more fun in the Sunless Citadel. My name's Patrick, and this is the Campaign Diary. Party began, they had just finished with Area 14, where they got to discover the fun of fighting Mephits. They're little bitches. Back in Area 6, they'd left a door locked. So they went back and tried that again, and failed miserably on every roll, because the challenge for this is way, way high. To the north is an empty room, one of the rooms that is labeled 13. I kind of gave this one to them because they wanted to find an empty room. They went into the room and spent a night and did the Lemon's tiny hut and did a full rest so that they are charged up and ready for fighting again. Because the next room they went into was room number 15. This is where they meet a whiny, crying little kobold by the name of Meepo. Meepo talks like this, and he's kind of sad. Yeah. You do what you have to do. Either way, Meepo was lying there, crying and whining, and they weren't able to get much out of him other than his dragon was missing, and once they kind of hinted they might be able to help him, which I think I had to suggest a little bit, he perked right up and said, I will take you to see Adraeon. I really hate that name. I should have changed it. Adraeon is the leader of the kobolds. She's a nice little spellcaster, and when the party gets before her, they find that on the way they discover there are a lot of kobold guards. A lot more than are originally in the adventure, because these are 2 5th level characters that if one of them unleashes, she can do fireball. Boom! All of the kobolds are dead pretty much instantly. Even if she cracks it out at a minimum, she can set it off on top of the party. The party will probably survive, and all the kobolds will die instantly. Boom. Now, Adraeon is the head kobold. You could tell she's the head kobold because of the knee pads. Okay, that wasn't funny in the least. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. One thing that they noticed above Adraeon was a key. A large key in her dragon throne's mouth. In the mouth of the dragon that made up her throne sits a nice big key. I wonder what it unlocks. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. They may want this key. Adraeon basically charges them to go find the dragon, which they know is a dragon, because they didn't really look at the scales and things in there. They just asked Meepo what kind of dragon it was, and he said it was a beautiful dragon. Yeah, not giving them that information was fun. So, If you have the map handy, you can follow along. They go back to Area 15, where they found Meepo. He takes them back through areas 25 and 26. They skipped Area 27, thankfully. And they get to Area 31, which is a fun one. Area 31 is a room scattered with caltrops. And it has a door that they have to open slowly or investigate, or it sets off a bell alerting the goblins in Area 32. Hetfield didn't do anything of that sort, so they started across the caltrops only to get sprayed with arrows. Aleena drops one of them almost immediately, and the other goblin disappears, because he's going to go prepare some ambush. Now that they have just encountered the goblins, who, by the way, are responsible for taking the dragon, Hetfield is smart enough to not go running around the corners after the missing goblin. Because when they get to room 33, the 3 goblins who are there have set up behind a wall getting ready to start spraying arrows. The 4th goblin, the one that escaped, went to the room to the north, Area 36, where there are 3 more goblins who are going to come down and join the fight. Nothing happens until Hetfield's initiative turn, at which point a little song by AC/DC starts playing, and he unleashes Thunderwave on the goblins as he runs up and blasts them. They weren't quite ready for this, and 2 of them made their save. Unfortunately, he did more damage than they had hit points by far. Boom! All 3 of them dead instantly. One flung to pieces, the other 2 blasted to death by the wall. Now, of course, they heard some conversation from the room to the north. There was a room to the east, the southern room to the east, that Meepo was kind of looking at. He kind of hinted that he wanted to go in that room, but he was busy listening at that room. They run to the north door, where it's hanging partially open and appears to have some noise coming. Hetfield and Greta manage to try to bar the door. Hetfield trying to resist them trying to break through, rolls a 1. He goes ass over apple cart, and the remaining goblins pour in. They start fighting a lot, and many rolls later that fail, they finally manage to end all but one of the goblins, who then bolts for the west, which leads to Area 37 and 39 and farther away. Greta rounds the corner, but Aleena goes flying past, not paying attention, where there is a pit trap. Ha ha! Little pit trap, you go down. Thankfully, she did find a nice little ring in there before they pull her out, stopping the pursuit and giving them time to recover. They go to room number 37, which is torn to shit and covered in frost. This is where they find Calcrix, a white dragon wormling. That's the kind of dragon that the kobolds were wanting back. Now, it says in here, let me read this. I'm just going to read this. The wormling finds her current situation superior to her station as the kobold's pet. She's hostile to those who enter the chamber. If battle breaks out and Meepo accompanies the party, the dragon targets him first. Of course, the first thing the dragon did was unleash the cold breath. It was more hit points than Meepo was going to ever be able to resist, and he died instantly, insta-kill. So bye-bye, Meepo! Luckily, this technically doesn't hurt the party's chances too much, because their goal is to retrieve the dragon. Which, after some fighting, they did. Of course, it's before anything else, Hetfield tried to talk to the dragon, who just hissed at him and said die, and then blasted him with the cold breath. A little bit of fighting later, Aleena puts a firebolt into the dragon and kills it immediately. Quickly, the players had a quick discussion as to what to do. Aleena, having picked up some spells from a necromancer, had Animate Dead. Now, technically, you can't use Animate Dead to raise a dragon. It has to be humanoid. But I decided I would let her, if she wanted to, try to animate. She would have to make some rolls to make it happen, and it may or may not work. And if it didn't work, healing the dragon wasn't possible. And they would have an undead dragon, white dragon wormling. To be honest, this was, since Shelly's player as a noob, this was her first true I'm now a real gamer moment, because holy shit! She wanted to animate a dragon that they just killed so they could take it back. Instead, I let Hetfield do a quick slide and do some healing. And it worked, because I wasn't going to let him fail miserably, because they had time to heal the dragon. Even if I'd had the dragon do some death saves, it worked. But now they had a dragon who was healed and could act on its turn. And Hetfield healed it too well. Greta didn't put it out. Luckily, Aleena had that nice sword, which she pulled out, did some dual damage, and the dragon went down like a sack of taters. Knowing they'd have to go around the pit, they managed to go through the dragon haze room quietly, without much problem. They worked their way through the pantry, and back to the prior room where they'd fought the goblins behind the wall. With a little prodding, they had the sense to check another room. They found a gnome. They find the gnome, Eric, and 3 kobolds. All of them grab the dragon, bring it back, and when we get back to the party, we are going to meet up with Uzdrael, and we're going to see what happens. So that's where we left it, and hopefully next time will be more fun. But I will say this, having a map that I could share with them rather than having to describe, especially with a new player, definitely worth it. So I'm going to do this, my unofficial endorsement of Roll20.net. It's definitely worth looking into if you're doing an online game, especially if you need more than just theater of the mind. So it's at this point in the video that my second battery died, and I can't record any more video. So I'm going to use my webcam to finish this off. I've pretty much told you everything that happened at the party. So from here, we will see what happens next time we play. On another side note, try to remember to charge your batteries before you record a video so you don't have to use your webcam because you're a dumbass. That's it.